a poacher, a hunter, a man who made one fatal mistake. He shot a Siberian tiger. Wounded, the tiger disappeared into the shadows. Most would think the story ended there, but Sigma creatures don't forget, and they forgive lightly. Over the next 48 hours, this tiger didn't run, didn't hide. It tracked Markov silently, strategically. Not out of panic, but out of purpose. It waited outside his cabin. It destroyed anything with Markov's scent. It studied his patterns, and when the moment was right, it struck. Markov never stood a chance, not against a creature so calm, so calculating, so quietly lethal. Now pause. Imagine a man with that same presence, that same silence before the storm. That's a Sigma. Sigma males are not just different, they are. They don't yell, they don't chase, but when you cross the line, they won't just react. They'll outweight you and outmaneuver you. So if you think Sigmas are to be underestimated, think again, because once you ignite their fury, they don't just fight back, they finish the game. This video is not for the faint of heart. These are 7 chilling things Sigma males do when they finally lose their cool. Subscribe if you're ready to understand the silent power behind the lone wolf. Let's dive in. Number 1, the cold shutdown. When a Sigma gets mad, he doesn't throw fists, he throws silence. Let's break this down, not just dramatically, but psychologically and factually. When a Sigma male reaches his breaking point, you won't see fireworks. You'll hear nothing, no slamming doors, no raging texts. Just silence, deafening, intentional and permanent. The first dangerous thing he does? He shuts down completely. No more messages, no return calls, no explanations. He vanishes like smoke in the wind. Now, this isn't the same as emotional immaturity or running from problems, quite the opposite. Sigmas are known for their and. According to psychologist Daniel Goleman's framework of emotional intelligence, those who exhibit strong self-regulation, like Sigmas, tend to avoid impulsive actions. So when a Sigma cuts you off, it's not impulsive, it's the result of deep, quiet deliberation. This shutdown behavior isn't random. It's rooted in self-preservation. Sigmas value their peace more than attention, and when someone crosses a line repeatedly, they don't feel the need to argue. Not because they're weak, but because they're done giving access to those who misuse it. To outsiders, this might look like. But to a Sigma, it's a calculated disengagement, a silent message that says, "You no longer qualify for my time." Unlike alphas who may confront with aggression, or betas who might seek resolution through appeasement, the Sigma's weapon is indifference. That's why it's so unsettling. He doesn't yell. He deletes, quietly, cleanly, and he doesn't second-guess it. Here's the scary part. While some people cool off and reconnect after a heated moment, Sigma males aren't interested in half-hearted apologies or guilt trips. Once he's emotionally checked out, the door is locked and welded shut. In a world that glorifies constant communication and emotional oversharing, the Sigma's cold silence is both powerful and terrifying. It teaches a hard lesson. Not everyone argues when they're hurt. Some just leave, and that silence is their loudest message. So if a Sigma disappears from your life, don't assume he's being dramatic. Understand, he tolerated more than he ever said, and now he's gone, forever. Number 2. He turns his back with zero guilt. When a Sigma male walks away, it's not a dramatic exit filled with yelling or broken plates. It's quiet, clean, final. And that's what makes it so powerful and dangerous. Unlike most people, Sigma males don't beg for closure. They're the closure. Let's unpack this. Sigma males are lone wolves by nature. They thrive on independence, emotional self-reliance, and mental clarity. According to psychologist Carl Jung's personality archetypes, Sigma types fall somewhere outside the traditional alpha and beta hierarchy. They operate by their own internal compass, which means they're not easily manipulated or emotionally entangled. So when they sense toxicity, be it lies, manipulation, disrespect, or betrayal, they don't try to fix it. They observe, they measure, they test you. And once they confirm a pattern, they quietly begin detaching. Here's the dangerous part. Sigmas don't cling to the of someone. They value reality over fantasy. So once someone crosses a line too many times, the Sigma male hits a switch and he's emotionally done. Cold, maybe, but it's not impulsive, it's calculated. Most people will seek closure through texts, arguments, or long emotional explanations, but not Sigmas. They've already closed the door before they walk away. They don't burn bridges out of anger, they do it out of necessity. This is principle, not pettiness. And no, it's not because they don't feel, it's because they gave you signals, grace, and second chances. You mistook their silence for weakness, but silence was the warning. When a Sigma is silent, he's processing, deciding, planning, then he disappears, not to punish, but to protect. This behavior is rooted in psychological resilience. Research shows that emotionally intelligent people, like Sigmas, know when a connection is harming their peace. Instead of spiraling, they reset. Instead of lashing out, they retreat, and don't expect them to come back. Sigmas don't look back, because looking back is for people who still care, who still hope. A Sigma's hope ends the moment he sees you value chaos more than connection. So if you ever find yourself wondering why he ghosted you, remember, it wasn't random. It was the final act in a play you didn't realize you were starring in. Sigmas don't crave revenge, they crave peace. And once their peace is threatened, they don't explain, they exit quietly, permanently. Number 3, he channels his anger into success. Here's the twist. Sigmas don't explode, they evolve. You see, the Sigma male operates on a different frequency. He doesn't blow up, scream, or seek petty revenge. That's not his style. When he's hurt, betrayed, or angered, he doesn't reach for retaliation, he reaches for transformation. Psychologically speaking, this response is rooted in something called the ability to convert intense emotions into focused energy. Sigmas have mastered this. Instead of lashing out, they level up. When angry, a Sigma doesn't pick fights, he picks up momentum. He channels that emotional energy into something productive. Studies show that people who practice self-regulation under stress, like Sigmas often do, experience better long-term mental health and goal achievement. So instead of wallowing, he rises. He hits the gym harder, not to show off, but to sharpen his discipline. He stacks his money, because financial independence is power. He builds skills, networks silently, and upgrades every aspect of his life while the world wonders what he's plotting. That girl who cheated, she becomes the reason he sets higher standards. That friend who lied? A lesson in boundaries and self-worth. The Sigma's revenge isn't loud, it's visible, and oh, is it powerful. He doesn't send angry texts or make dramatic exits, he just vanishes and reappears later, elevated. His silence echoes louder than any outburst. It says one thing. This is classic Sigma energy, rooted in stoicism, discipline, and delayed gratification. He knows success is the best response, not for the applause, not to prove a point, but to fulfill his own vision. So while others are fueled by conflict, Sigmas are fueled by growth. He doesn't lose sleep plotting revenge. He sleeps soundly knowing he's evolving into a version of himself that outgrows the pain. And that right there is what makes him lethal, not his rage, but his rise. Number 4, he unloads the truth without a filter. Sigmas usually keep their observations to themselves. They're the silent analysts in the room, the ones who don't react immediately but take note of everything, every glance, every contradiction, every hidden motive. While others are busy talking, Sigmas are watching, calculating, studying the patterns behind human behavior like a mental chess game. But what happens when a Sigma male finally gets angry? He lets the truth fly. And it doesn't come out as rage or chaos. No shouting, no name-calling. What comes out is far more brutal. Facts, cold, hard truth, delivered with calm precision. Because by the time a Sigma reaches his breaking point, he's already gathered the evidence. And when he speaks, he doesn't just react, he exposes every fake smile you gave, every backhanded compliment, every attempt at manipulation you thought went unnoticed, laid bare like a forensic report. And that's the scary part. You see, the Sigma male's brain is wired for deep observation. Psychologists refer to this as high cognitive empathy, the ability to read social dynamics without being emotionally entangled. It's not emotional outburst. It's emotional detachment paired with intellectual clarity. That's why when he finally talks, it hits different, it cuts, because it's not just his truth, it's truth, and people aren't ready for that. They're ready for yelling, they're used to drama, but they're not prepared for someone calmly dismantling their entire facade with surgical detail, no fluff, no emotion, just exposure. That's why Sigmas are dangerous when provoked. Not because they're violent, but because they're in a world built on appearances. A Sigma's silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. And when he finally speaks, people suddenly realize just how powerful and terrifying truth can be. So next time you think a Sigma isn't paying attention, think again, he's just collecting receipts. And when the time is right, he won't burn the bridge, he'll light it with facts. Number 5, he plans his exit years in advance. Here's the freaky part. If you've wronged a Sigma male, he's not going to explode in your face. There won't be yelling, no messy drama, no back and forth arguments. In fact, he might even smile. He'll nod, say, "It's all good," and carry on like nothing happened. But don't be fooled. That silence, that's the quiet before the storm. You see, Sigma males are wired differently. They're strategic, emotionally disciplined, and deeply introspective. So when they get hurt or betrayed, their first instinct isn't to lash out. It's to retreat and analyze. They'll wait, they'll observe, they'll take mental notes, catalog every detail, and calmly design their next move like a grandmaster in a chess match. While you're thinking everything is back to normal, he's already 2 steps ahead, silently building his exit plan, and then one day, without warning, he vanishes, gone from the job, gone from the relationship, gone from the group chat. No goodbyes, no closure, no explanation, just silence. Like a shadow in the night, he disappears. And he leaves no trail, no digital breadcrumbs, nothing to follow. People who've crossed him are left stunned. What happened? Why did he just cut me off? But by then it's too late. This calculated disappearing act isn't just some random behavior, it's rooted in psychology. It's a classic example of the Sigma males. Instead of investing energy in conflict, they invest it in planning their freedom. It's efficiency over emotion. Even in nature, we see parallels. Wolves, known for their Sigma-like traits, rarely retaliate instantly. They back off, assess the situation, and then strike or slip away when it suits them, not when others expect it. So if a Sigma male walks away from you without warning, chances are he already walked away from you emotionally weeks or months ago. You just didn't see the signs, and that's what makes them so unsettling, so unpredictable. Lesson here, never mistake a Sigma's silence for submission. He might be quiet, but trust me, he's not passive. He's just patient, and patience is the scariest weapon in a Sigma's arsenal. By the time you realize he's gone, he's already thriving somewhere else, and you're just part of the past he planned to escape from. Number 6, he sets a new standard that excludes you. When a Sigma male gets mad, he doesn't throw tantrums. He doesn't scream, shout, or make a scene. His fury isn't loud, it's transformative. See, most people express anger outwardly. They want others to feel their rage. But a Sigma, he takes that fire and forges a new version of himself. Anger becomes his architect. When he's hurt, betrayed, or disrespected, he doesn't waste time plotting revenge. He reinvents his boundaries. And here's the kicker. He builds a life so upgraded, so elevated, so full of purpose and clarity that the very people who once mistreated him no longer qualify to exist within it. This isn't just emotional survival, it's strategic evolution. Psychologically speaking, Sigma males fall into the introverted alpha category. They rank high in self-awareness, autonomy, and emotional intelligence. So when they're pushed to their limit, they don't spiral, they recalibrate. Boundaries are tightened. Standards are raised. Their circle, it shrinks, not from bitterness, but from alignment. They start to surround themselves with people who mirror their growth, not their past wounds. And the ones who cross them replaced. Not with spite, but with silence. Peace, focus, purpose. Think about it. Most people fight back to prove a point. A Sigma male doesn't need to prove anything. He the point. His success, his discipline, his transformation, that's the response. That's the ultimate flex. It's no wonder psychologists describe boundary reinforcement as a sign of emotional maturity. In one study from the University of California, it was shown that individuals who restructure their social environments after emotional pain often experience greater resilience, personal development, and long-term satisfaction. That's what Sigma males do instinctively. Instead of reacting emotionally, they redirect energy into upgrading their mindset, health, wealth, and vision. It's not about erasing the past. It's about evolving beyond it. They hit the gym harder, they meditate longer, they read, build, create, and elevate until the old version of themselves is unrecognizable. Their anger becomes a quiet teacher, not a chaotic destroyer. So if you've ever wondered what happens when a Sigma finally snaps, don't expect fireworks. Expect silence. Expect changes so sharp, so intentional that his presence feels like a different frequency. One that doesn't tolerate nonsense. One that demands excellence. Because for the Sigma male, it's not about revenge. It's about evolution. He doesn't seek to bring others down. He rises so high that they can't reach him anymore. That's the Sigma way. Number 7. He disappears, then returns unrecognizable. The final form of Sigma rage isn't destruction. It's rebirth. When most people get angry, they lash out, they argue, they post cryptic quotes on social media. But not the Sigma male. His reaction is different, dangerously different. He disappears, no dramatic exits, no emotional outbursts, just silence. Complete radio silence. He stops answering texts, stops showing up, no updates, no stories, no status posts. He doesn't need to announce a thing because Sigma rage doesn't crave attention, it craves evolution. You see, Sigma males process betrayal and frustration with surgical precision. While others spiral into chaos, Sigmas go inward. This is a man who doesn't waste energy trying to prove a point in the moment. He steps back, assesses the damage, and uses the pain as fuel. Months pass. People start to wonder, where did he go? They might assume he's struggling, but what they don't realize is he's been in the lab, not a physical one, but a mental, spiritual, and emotional gym. He's been breaking himself down, examining his weaknesses, and rebuilding brick by brick. And then one day, he returns. No warning, no reintroduction, just presence. But he's not the man you remember, he's richer. Not just financially, though that's often part of it, but mentally and emotionally. He's stronger. His boundaries are solid, his mission is clearer, his energy is untouchable. And most striking of all, he's colder, not bitter, just detached. Detached from the old versions of himself that used to settle, that used to explain, that used to beg for understanding. That version no longer exists. And here's the part that stings. He didn't come back for revenge. He didn't come back to flex. He came back because he no longer fits where he was. What was meant to break him ended up forging him. The storm you brought, it didn't drown him, it baptized him. Psychologists call this post-traumatic growth, a phenomenon where individuals come out of adversity not only healed, but enhanced. Stronger relationships, a deeper sense of purpose, personal strength, all markers of someone who used hardship as a catalyst for greatness. This is the Sigma's secret weapon. His silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. His absence isn't retreat, it's preparation. And when he reemerges, he's not seeking validation, validation. You can't reach him anymore. Not because he blocked you, but because he outgrew you. The version of himself that tolerated poor treatment, lowered his standards, or doubted his worth. That version died, and in its place rose a Sigma who's sharper in mind, clearer in purpose, and colder to the nonsense he used to entertain. This is Sigma rage at its most powerful form, not loud, not violent, but transformative. So if a Sigma male disappears, don't assume he's gone. Understand he's becoming. And when he returns, you won't even recognize the man who walked away. Because the final form of Sigma rage was never about destruction. It was always about rebirth. Sigma's anger isn't always loud, sometimes it's strategic, and that's exactly what separates you from the rest. In a world that celebrates dramatic outbursts and attention-seeking tantrums, Sigma males choose a different path, one built on control, redirection, and inner mastery. Psychology calls this the process of converting intense emotional energy like anger into productive action. Studies from the American Psychological Association show that people who regulate their anger effectively tend to experience enhanced concentration, improved memory, and stronger problem-solving skills. Translation? Anger, when harnessed, becomes a superpower. Sigmas don't rage for show. They don't flip tables or shout in traffic. Instead, they take that boiling emotion and forge it into something useful. A better business plan, a new boundary, a sharper physique. That insult you threw at a Sigma, he used it to fuel his next level up. Let's look at Michael Jordan, one of the greatest athletes ever and a true Sigma at heart. When he was cut from his high school basketball team, he didn't complain, he didn't spiral. He trained like a machine day and night and turned rejection into domination. That wasn't just determination, that was refined, focused, Sigma-level rage. So if you're simmering right now, good, that heat has a purpose. Channel it, write down your mission, hit the gym, start that project, don't explode, evolve. Because the world doesn't need another man who loses control. It needs a Sigma who, and lets it light the path forward. If this message reminds you of who you are or who you're becoming, hit that like button, subscribe, and join this tribe of focused minds. Wolves walk alone, but they don't walk aimlessly. Stay sharp, stay disciplined, stay Sigma. She tested his patience one too many times, now the mask is off. What happens when a Sigma male, known for his calm and quiet demeanor, decides he's done playing nice? When a Sigma stops tolerating nonsense, the world finally sees the storm he's been hiding in silence. Sigmas, welcome. Today's topic is, when a Sigma male is done playing nice, here's what happens. Let's break this down. Sigma males are often misunderstood. They're not aloof because they lack emotion. They're observant, calculating, and intentional. According to psychologist John A. Johnson, introverted yet confident personalities tend to be more emotionally intelligent and self-regulated. This is the essence of the Sigma. A Sigma's tolerance isn't a sign of weakness, it's strategy. He picks his battles, avoids unnecessary drama, and lives by his own code. But once that code is violated too many times, whether through manipulation, disrespect, or betrayal, he shifts gears. And no, it's not some theatrical meltdown, it's subtle but surgical. The Sigma detaches, he stops engaging, he doesn't shout, he exits. This silence speaks louder than words. That's when people feel the weight of his absence. This transformation is often mistaken for coldness. In reality, it's power. When a Sigma stops being nice, he starts being real, asserting boundaries, saying no without guilt, and walking away without looking back. It's not revenge, it's recalibration. And the ripple effect, massive. People who took his patience for granted suddenly scramble for his attention. Toxic individuals are cut off. His energy gets redirected toward personal growth, financial goals, and mastery. This isn't about ego, it's about reclaiming peace. So if you've pushed a Sigma too far, don't expect a warning shot. Expect silence. And that silence is where his power lives. He doesn't need to prove himself to anyone, he simply disappears and levels up. Point 1, the silent build-up. When most people get disrespected, they bark, they raise their voices, clap back, argue, or storm out. It's an emotional reaction, a primal defense against perceived threat, but not Sigma males. When Sigmas get disrespected, they don't bark, they watch, and they wait. You see, the Sigma male operates on a different wavelength. He's not interested in winning petty arguments or putting on a performance to show dominance. Instead, his reaction is internal and strategic. He observes behavior, registers inconsistencies, and silently recalibrates how he engages with you. This isn't passivity, it's power under control. Psychologically speaking, Sigma males embody traits of high emotional intelligence and restraint. According to a 2009 study published in Individuals with high emotional self-regulation tend to perform better in social conflict resolution, not by confrontation, but by managing their own impulses and gathering information. That's what Sigmas do. They don't need the last word. They want the response at the right time. In fact, their silence is often mistaken for weakness. People assume that if someone doesn't fight back immediately, they're submissive or afraid, but Sigmas don't care about your assumptions. What you're actually witnessing is their testing phase. They're analyzing. Was that disrespect a slip-up or a pattern? Was it rooted in insecurity or is it a sign of disloyalty? While others are busy yelling, the Sigma is taking notes. And then comes the twist. You never know what chapter of their story you're in until they shut the book. That's when the Sigma disappears, disconnects, or redefines the entire dynamic. No drama, no speeches, just silence and absence. And by the time you realize what happened, it's already too late. What makes this response so effective? It's the embodiment of the principle, don't tell them. Sigmas withdraw their energy and access, two things people often don't realize they relied on until it's gone. This approach mirrors Stoic teachings from philosophers like Epictetus, who said it's not what happens to you, but how you react to it that matters. That's a Sigma's secret, calculated restraint. So the next time a Sigma gets disrespected and doesn't respond, don't assume it's because he didn't notice. He noticed. He just doesn't need to make noise, because while others are still shouting on the surface, the Sigma is preparing a move beneath it all, quietly, purposefully, and with full awareness of the cost and outcome. It's not weakness, it's war, played in silence. Point 2, the cold withdrawal. Here's the twist. When a Sigma male is done, there's no warning, no grand speech, no dramatic exit, just silence. And that's exactly what makes it so unnerving. Most people need closure. They argue, they beg, they fire off long texts, hoping to be heard. But a Sigma male, he vanishes without a ripple. One minute you're in his world, the next it's like you never existed. No drama, no confrontation, just gone. This isn't avoidance, it's resolution. Sigma males are emotionally detached once they reach their threshold. They don't erupt in rage or chase explanations. Why? Because long before you ever noticed something was wrong, they already did their internal audit. Quietly, logically, weeks or months in advance. By the time they walk away, the emotional processing is complete. What you're witnessing isn't a reaction, it's execution. That's why it stings. It's not messy, it's clean. It doesn't feed your ego with a final fight or give you the satisfaction of closure. And that's where Sigma males gain the upper hand. When someone storms off in anger, they still want you to chase. But when someone disappears in silence, that's when you know they've truly let go. Psychologists call this silent boundary enforcement. It's a self-protective behavior seen in highly independent and introverted individuals, those who prefer peace over chaos. Studies on conflict resolution confirm this. People who score high on self-reliance and introversion are more likely to walk away from conflict instead of engaging in it. It's not passive-aggressive, it's deliberate and final. Sigma males don't ghost out of fear, they disengage when something violates their values or peace. And the wild part, they don't seek closure from anyone but themselves. They don't need apologies or understanding to move on. They just decide. Their silence becomes a mirror, forcing others to confront what they've done, not because they're told to, but because the sudden absence is deafening. That's the Sigma power. When they close the book, they never reopen it. Point 3, the shift in energy. Sigmas don't chase, they replace. It's not arrogance, it's alignment. Sigma males are wired differently. When something or someone disrupts their peace, they don't explode. They evolve. The moment a Sigma stops playing nice, it's like a switch flips. Instead of wasting energy on explaining themselves, proving their worth, or begging for basic respect, they go silent. But don't mistake that silence for weakness. It's the sound of a storm forming beneath the surface. Sigmas redirect their energy inward. They level up. Whether it's hitting the gym, starting a new business, mastering a skill, or diving into solitude and reflection, they begin to rebuild from the inside out. Psychology calls this the ability to respond to stress, not with breakdown, but with growth. While others post online to prove a point, the Sigma disappears from the noise. Behind the scenes, he's grinding, quietly, consistently, strategically, and here's where the shift happens. Ex-friends start to feel the void. That calm, grounded presence they once took for granted, gone. And in its place, a gnawing realization they underestimated him. Toxic people feel exposed. Why? Because without the Sigma's energy to manipulate or guilt trip, their games no longer work. The spotlight turns inward, revealing their own dysfunction. Meanwhile, the Sigma doesn't feel anger, regret, or revenge. He feels focus. Neuroscience supports this too. When someone is highly self-regulated and goal-oriented, their prefrontal cortex activates more intensely, heightening discipline and decision-making. And here's the kicker. That quiet intensity, it becomes magnetic. Without chasing anyone, the Sigma starts attracting everything. People notice his absence and, more importantly, his glow-up. What once seemed like detachment is now clearly strength. What seemed passive is now power in motion. This is the Sigma blueprint. Don't chase, don't beg, just rise and replace. Because when a Sigma male is done playing nice, the world doesn't just miss him, it watches him ascend. Point 4, the domino effect on others. When a Sigma stops playing nice, it doesn't just cause ripples, it sends shockwaves through the emotional ecosystem of everyone who once underestimated him. You see, Sigma males operate differently. They're not driven by a need for approval, validation, or applause. They move quietly, observe intently, and act only when necessary. But when that calm presence suddenly goes cold, it flips the psychological script for those around them. People start overthinking, second-guessing every moment. Was I the problem? Why did he cut me off? Why isn't he reacting? This isn't just drama, it's cognitive dissonance. Psychologically, humans are wired to seek closure. When we don't get a reaction from someone we expect to engage, our brains go into overdrive trying to solve the silence. It's called the Zeigarnik effect, a phenomenon where people remember uncompleted or interrupted interactions more vividly than completed ones. So when a Sigma walks away without fanfare, it triggers emotional turmoil in those who never expected consequences. And the most unsettling part, the Sigma doesn't explain, he doesn't lash out, he doesn't beg, plead, or even clarify. His silence, it's a mirror, a confrontation not with him, but with oneself. His absence becomes louder than most people's presence. Why? Because we tend to undervalue quiet strength until it's gone. Most people are used to noise, attention-seeking, emotional outbursts. But when someone who used to listen, tolerate, and show restraint suddenly withdraws that energy, the emotional vacuum becomes undeniable. It's like removing the anchor from a ship. It starts drifting, lost and directionless. And here's the kicker. Sigmas don't withdraw to punish others. They do it to protect their peace. When respect is lost, tolerance has limits. When boundaries are crossed, the Sigma doesn't escalate. He evaporates. This is where power lies. Not in loud confrontation, but in silent transformation. So when a Sigma male stops playing nice, it's not revenge, it's a reset. He's reminding everyone that his calm demeanor was a choice, not a weakness. And now that the mask is off, the emotional economy collapses for those who thought they'd never have to pay for their actions. Because the Sigma's silence, it says everything they refused to hear when he was still speaking. Point 5, the birth of a new era. Here's the beautiful part. When a Sigma walks away from nonsense, he's not just making an exit, he's making an upgrade. See, most people think walking away is a sign of weakness or avoidance, but for the Sigma male, it's the complete opposite. It's a conscious decision to evolve. When he cuts ties with people, it's never impulsive or emotional. He's not ghosting for the sake of drama. He's pruning his environment. And what he's really cutting off, old patterns, toxic habits, and self-imposed limitations that no longer serve him. This isn't about being cold. It's about being clear. Clarity becomes the Sigma's new compass. It directs him away from distractions and toward direction. Science even backs this idea. Studies in behavioral psychology show that removing negative influences from your life can significantly boost focus, self-control, and emotional resilience. And that's exactly what the Sigma is after. He begins redirecting his energy toward higher pursuits, physical health, mental discipline, and long-term goals. He's not lounging in the silence, he's working in it. Gym sessions replace gossip. Early mornings replace late-night regrets, books replace arguments, and with every passing day he sharpens his tools, his intellect, his emotional control, his instincts. He upgrades his environment, mindset, and mission. This rebirth is quiet, but it's revolutionary. Think of it like a software update. The outer appearance doesn't change much, but inside he's faster, smarter, more resilient. He no longer bends for approval. He no longer negotiates his value. He no longer explains his peace. In psychology, this kind of transformation is known as a radical self-realignment, a powerful shift where an individual rewires their habits and identity to align with their highest potential. And that's what the Sigma male does when he walks away from nonsense. He evolves. He levels up. He becomes a man of intention, no longer shaped by the world around him, but by the clarity within him. Point 6, the unapologetic standards. When Sigmas stop playing nice, they don't make a loud announcement. They don't throw a tantrum. They simply, quietly, powerfully, and with intention. What does that mean? It means they start enforcing standards without saying a single word. No debates, no justifications, no emotional outbursts. They stop laughing at jokes they don't find funny. They stop showing up for people who don't show up for them. They stop responding to texts that feel forced, superficial, or manipulative. It's not anger, it's alignment. You see, Sigma males operate on an internal code. They're introspective, self-aware, and deeply observant. Psychology calls this trait high self-monitoring, the ability to read social cues without being controlled by them. When Sigmas decide they're done entertaining flaky people, fake intentions, or empty conversations, they don't burn bridges. They just stop building them. And this scares people. Why? Because most people are used to boundaries being loud, dramatic, and followed by explanations. But Sigma boundaries are different. They're invisible walls, firm, quiet, and absolute. No, hey, I don't like that. No, here's why I'm distancing myself. Just silence, detachment, distance. And that silence is deafening. Studies in behavioral psychology show that unpredictability and lack of closure can cause more anxiety than open conflict. When someone suddenly stops responding or pulls back without a word, it creates confusion. People don't know whether they've been judged, ignored, or outgrown. And for many, that uncertainty is unbearable. But for a Sigma, it's not about punishing others. It's about protecting peace. He aligns with his values, and if someone doesn't fit that frequency, he quietly exits. No drama, no guilt, just growth. This is why Sigmas are often misunderstood. Their silence is mistaken for arrogance. Their absence is mistaken for coldness, but in reality they're simply focused on truth, authenticity, and energy that feels right. So when a Sigma stops playing nice, don't look for signs of rage. Look for signs of resolve. He's not lashing out, he's leveling up. And the world, especially the people who used to take his kindness for granted, can feel the shift, even if they can't explain it. That's the Sigma way. Quiet, calculated, unapologetically real. Point 7. The untouchable mindset. When a Sigma male is done playing nice, something profound happens. He becomes untouchable. Not in the sense of arrogance or superiority, but in a way that reflects deep clarity and emotional mastery. This transformation is rooted in psychology, stoicism, and lived experience. Let's break it down. First, understand that Sigma males are lone wolves, independent thinkers who don't crave social approval, but even they can be pushed too far. When that threshold is crossed, a mental switch flips. The Sigma detaches, not out of bitterness, but out of necessity. He's done explaining himself, done tolerating manipulation, done entertaining emotional chaos. Manipulation tactics, whether it's gaslighting, guilt-tripping, or passive aggressiveness, lose their power over him. Why? Because he no longer reacts. Reaction is fuel for manipulation, and he's pulled the plug. This is supported by the concept of emotional detachment in psychology, a skill often taught in therapy to help individuals maintain boundaries and reduce emotional burnout. The Sigma embodies this skill naturally. Guilt trips, denied. He doesn't let others weaponize his empathy anymore. Instead of feeling guilty for choosing peace, he sees it as self-respect. That shift may unsettle those who once relied on his people-pleasing nature, but it's a necessary evolution. Validation seeking becomes irrelevant. He no longer needs applause or external approval to feel worthy. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization sits at the top. This is where the Sigma now operates. His sense of identity is internal, not defined by others. And perhaps the most important shift, he's now mission-driven. Everything he does is intentional, whether it's building a business, improving himself, or simply enjoying solitude. He's laser-focused. He's not avoiding emotions, he's just prioritizing purpose. This detachment makes him powerful and a bit unsettling. People sense the change. The once agreeable Sigma is now cool, measured, and unshakable. He's no longer a safety net for others' dysfunction. He's not cruel, just clear. And clarity, that's scary for those who can't control it. So when a Sigma male is done playing nice, it's not a declaration of war, it's a quiet revolution. He didn't become heartless, he became free. Point 8. The world finally takes notice. When a Sigma male is done playing nice, something profound happens. He becomes untouchable. Not in the sense of arrogance or superiority, but in a way that reflects deep clarity and emotional mastery. This transformation is rooted in psychology, stoicism, and lived experience. Let's break it down. First, understand that Sigma males are lone wolves, independent thinkers who don't crave social approval, but even they can be pushed too far. When that threshold is crossed, a mental switch flips. The Sigma detaches, not out of bitterness, but out of necessity. He's done explaining himself, done tolerating manipulation, done entertaining emotional chaos. Manipulation tactics, whether it's gaslighting, guilt-tripping, or passive aggressiveness, lose their power over him. Why? Because he no longer reacts. Reaction is fuel for manipulation, and he's pulled the plug. This is supported by the concept of emotional detachment in psychology, a skill often taught in therapy to help individuals maintain boundaries and reduce emotional burnout. The Sigma embodies this skill naturally. Guilt trips, denied. He doesn't let others weaponize his empathy anymore. Instead of feeling guilty for choosing peace, he sees it as self-respect. That shift may unsettle those who once relied on his people-pleasing nature, but it's a necessary evolution. Validation seeking becomes irrelevant. He no longer needs applause or external approval to feel worthy. According to Maslow's hierarchy of needs, self-actualization sits at the top. This is where the Sigma now operates. His sense of identity is internal, not defined by others. And perhaps the most important shift, he's now mission-driven. Everything he does is intentional. Whether it's building a business, improving himself, or simply enjoying solitude, he's laser-focused. He's not avoiding emotions, he's just prioritizing purpose. This detachment makes him powerful and a bit unsettling. People sense the change. The once agreeable Sigma is now cool, measured, and unshakable. He's no longer a safety net for others' dysfunction. He's not cruel, just clear. And clarity, that's scary for those who can't control it. So when a Sigma male is done playing nice, it's not a declaration of war, it's a quiet revolution. He didn't become heartless. He became free. Being nice is a choice, but so is walking away. And when a Sigma finally chooses to protect his peace over pleasing others, he unlocks a level of power most people never touch. So if you're a Sigma watching this, stop apologizing for evolving. Stop explaining your silence. Stop watering down your worth. Your power lies in your discipline, your detachment, and your decision to never settle. Because when you're done playing nice, you start playing real. And that's when everything changes. Sigmas, this is your reminder to own your journey. If this video spoke to your soul, go ahead and hit that like button. Subscribe to join a community of thinkers, lone wolves, and leaders who don't just exist, they impact. Apply these Sigma traits to your life and watch the world adjust to your new frequency. Stay true and stay Sigma. He doesn't need a degree in psychology, a million followers, or flashy cars. But somehow, he always wins. Why does the street-smart Sigma male succeed in situations where even the most educated fail? Because while others play checkers, the Sigma plays 4D chess with life. Today we're diving deep into why street-smart Sigma males have the ultimate advantage. Not just because of what they know, but how they move. The Sigma male isn't powered by textbooks or elite mentorship programs. His strength lies in lived experience, raw instinct, and observation. He thrives in the real world, where people reveal their true nature through subtle cues and social games. While others rely on titles and theory, he watches body language, tone, timing, and intention. It's psychological warfare, and the Sigma is a master tactician. He's not loud. He doesn't need a crowd. Instead, he moves with calculated silence. Street smarts give him the upper hand because they teach what formal education often ignores: how to read people, how to survive chaos, and how to adapt fast. Research from Harvard Business Review even confirms that emotional intelligence and adaptive thinking, skills often forged in real-world pressure, outperform IQ in leadership and influence. What makes it even more dangerous? The Sigma doesn't just know how to survive, he knows how to thrive without validation. While alpha males may dominate the spotlight, Sigmas move in the shadows, building empires, mastering themselves, and watching everyone else play predictable roles. He's the one who walks into a room and instantly assesses the social hierarchy, not to join it, but to bypass it. While others follow rules, the Sigma studies patterns, and when others chase trends, he quietly becomes the trend. In a world obsessed with status, flash, and followers, the Sigma's edge is simple. Self-awareness, adaptability, and ruthless independence. That's why he wins. Because he's not playing the same game as everyone else. He designed his own. Number one, the Sigma mentality. Born to outsmart the game, Sigmas. Let's get real. You don't just survive the game of life. You flip the board, walk away, and still come out on top. You're not waiting for permission. You're not begging for applause. While others are chasing corporate titles or trying to impress with rented lifestyles, you're collecting real-world experience, reading human behavior like psychology majors wish they could, and spotting patterns that most people miss. What sets street-smart Sigmas apart is simple: real-life education. This isn't something you can get from a university. It's earned through long nights, hard knocks, and high-stakes lessons. While some learn in lecture halls, you learn in life's pressure cookers, whether it's dodging manipulation in a toxic relationship, staying cool under a shady boss, or navigating chaos with quiet precision. Street-smart intelligence is a blend of emotional awareness, quick decision-making, and gut-level instinct. According to Harvard psychologist Howard Gardner, this aligns with interpersonal intelligence, the ability to read and react to people effectively. Sigmas don't just have this, they weaponize it. And here's the kicker: your biggest advantage is your invisibility. You're not flashy, you're not loud. That's the point. You blend in, move in silence, and never announce your next move. By the time they realize your impact, it's already done. Game over. Checkmate. This makes people underestimate you, and that's your superpower. Sigmas know that attention is a currency, and they choose to spend it wisely. They don't need the spotlight to prove their worth. Their results speak for themselves. Think of Jason Bourne, not James Bond. Tactical, calculated, underestimated until it's too late. So if you're a Sigma navigating this chaotic world, remember this: the world may praise noise, but it respects results. Let others play for show. You play for keeps. And that right there is why you always win. Number 2, emotional intelligence. Book smarts. You ever walk into a room and instantly feel who's lying, who's desperate, and who's fake smiling? That's not paranoia, it's your sixth sense, Sigma. And no, you weren't trained in some secret government lab. You earned that intuition the hard way, through sleepless nights, broken trust, hard-won victories, and losses that hit like a freight train. While others are busy memorizing protocols, you were out there learning the streets. They rely on a syllabus. You rely on scars. You don't need someone's credentials to know their character. You sense it. That tension in someone's handshake, the twitch in their eye, the forced laugh, they're like blinking neon signs to you. Science backs you up too. Studies show that the human brain processes non-verbal cues in milliseconds, faster than we even realize. And people who have experienced trauma, instability, or high-stakes environments often develop heightened situational awareness as a survival mechanism. That's you, Sigma. Your intuition isn't a mystery, it's a finely tuned radar born out of necessity. You're not impressed by big words, job titles, or flashy suits. You've seen polished liars and humble geniuses. You've learned the difference between charisma and manipulation. While most people scan a resume, you scan the room, and you know exactly who's for real and who's playing a role. In today's hyper-digital world, where everyone wears filters, online and in real life, that kind of insight is a rare and powerful gift. It's like walking into a virtual reality game, knowing the cheat codes. While others are fooled by appearances, you see intentions, you feel energy, you decode body language without even trying. So the next time someone calls you too intense or too quiet, smile. Because you're not just watching, you're calculating. That sixth sense isn't weird, it's wisdom. And in this loud, distracted world, being able to see through the noise, that's your edge. That's your superpower. Number 3, adaptability is a street-smart Sigma's weapon. A storm doesn't scare you because you the storm. When chaos hits, most people freeze, complain, or collapse, but not the Sigma male. While the world panics, the Sigma pivots. He doesn't just weather the storm, he recalibrates his path and charges forward with sharper instincts. That's the power of adaptability. And it's one of the Sigma's deadliest advantages. You see, Sigma males are not trained to memorize solutions. They're trained to solve problems. This mindset often begins in childhood. Instead of being spoon-fed answers, many Sigmas learn to think independently, to observe quietly, and to adapt through trial and error. They develop mental agility, emotional control, and strategic thinking by navigating real-life pressure, not textbook hypotheticals. That's why when life throws lemons, a Sigma doesn't just make lemonade. He opens a lemonade stand and then buys out the entire lemon farm. Adversity becomes opportunity. According to a psychological study published in the Individuals with High Resilience, like many Sigma males, are more likely to experience post-traumatic growth. That means they don't just bounce back, they bounce forward, becoming stronger and more capable with every setback. While others complain about roadblocks, Sigmas build new roads. They don't waste time playing the victim, they evolve. Reinvention isn't a last resort, it's their natural response. This is why so many Sigmas quietly dominate in business, leadership, and innovation. They aren't the loudest in the room, but they are often the most effective. So the next time chaos erupts and the average person is scrambling for cover, notice the Sigma. He's already 2 steps ahead, scanning the battlefield, forming a plan, and preparing to win. Not in spite of the storm, but of it. Because a Sigma doesn't fear the chaos, he it. Number 4, silence equals sign strategy. You know what truly terrifies people? A man who listens more than he speaks. That man is the Sigma. In a world obsessed with noise, where everyone rushes to post, talk, argue, and broadcast every opinion, there exists a rare breed who moves in silence. While others overshare, oversell, and overexplain, the Sigma male sits back and watches. He listens. Not just with his ears, but with intent. He catches what others miss, the slip-ups, the contradictions, the patterns in human behavior, and that's his superpower. You see, silence is not weakness, it's strategy. Psychological research shows that people who speak less in conversations are often perceived as more intelligent, more mysterious, and even more powerful. This isn't just anecdotal. The silent observer effect is real. People are naturally drawn to the one who doesn't need to dominate the room, but somehow still commands it. That's the Sigma's zone. Unlike alpha males, who often crave the spotlight, Sigmas build empires in the shadows. They don't brag about their next move, they just make it. By the time people realize what the Sigma has been working on, it's already too late to catch up. Here's the twist. Street-smart Sigmas don't seek attention, they attract it. Why? Because mystery is magnetic. When a man isn't trying to impress you, you start wondering why. When he doesn't need to speak to prove his worth, people lean in to listen when he finally does. That aura of controlled detachment. It's not accidental, it's deliberate. Sigmas know that power isn't always loud. Sometimes it's silent, observant, and calculating. While everyone else is revealing their hand, chasing clout and shouting into the void, the Sigma is reading the room, planning 10 steps ahead, and quietly becoming unstoppable. And when he finally speaks, everyone listens, not because he forced them to, but because his silence made them curious. Number 5, master of human psychology without the degree. Forget 4 years of college. A Sigma male learns the human psyche not from textbooks, but from life's trenches. While others are memorizing theories in fluorescent-lit classrooms, the Sigma is out there observing real people in real situations. He's not studying sociology. He's surviving it. Every hard conversation, every awkward silence, every betrayal, those are his lessons. Over time, this kind of raw exposure sharpens one of the most underrated skills in the world, reading people. It starts with noticing the little things, how someone's pupils dilate when they're excited or how they touch their face when they're lying. These aren't just quirks, they're clues. And Sigma males become human lie detectors without even trying. Micro-expressions, those brief involuntary facial expressions that last only a fraction of a second, are a Sigma's cheat code. According to Dr. Paul Ekman, a psychologist who pioneered research in this area, these expressions reveal true emotions, fear, anger, joy, even when someone's trying to hide them. A Sigma doesn't just see a smile, he sees the tension behind it. He knows when you're bluffing confidence or hiding contempt. But here's the twist. A Sigma doesn't just manipulation, he flips it. If someone tries to use charm to sway him, he lets them talk, then redirects the conversation like a chess master setting a trap. He's not reactive, he's strategic. He understands what people want. Validation, power, approval. And he sidesteps it all. Most people rely on words, but Sigma males speak a far more powerful language, body language. Research shows that over 70% of communication is nonverbal. While others are distracted by what's said, the Sigma pays attention to how it's said, eye contact, posture, gestures. He knows confidence when he sees it, and he sees insecurity wrapped in fake bravado from a mile away. In short, Sigma males don't just understand human nature, they outmaneuver it. Number 6, independence makes you untouchable. When you're street smart and Sigma, dependence is just another word that doesn't belong in your dictionary. You don't wait for someone to give you direction, you create your own map. That's because Sigma males thrive on self-leadership. They're independent thinkers who trust their instincts more than societal scripts. While the world pushes people to follow trends, follow influencers, and follow the crowd, Sigmas lead themselves, no crowd necessary. Street smarts, unlike book smarts, are forged in the fire of experience. It's not about what you learned in a classroom, it's about what you learned when life threw you in the deep end without a float. Street smart Sigmas understand human nature, read the room like a novel, and know when to walk away. No drama, no second guessing. Here's what really sets them apart. Their non-attachment. A Sigma male can walk away from a toxic job without flinching, cut off a fake friend without guilt, and even step away from love if it means sacrificing who he is. That level of clarity, that's intimidating to many. Most people stay in places that drain them just to feel accepted. Sigmas? They'd rather be alone and free than surrounded and fake. Psychologically speaking, this behavior aligns with what's called an internal locus of control, a belief that you control your own fate. Studies show that individuals with this mindset are more resilient, less anxious, and more successful in unpredictable environments, and that's why Sigma males stand out. They're not interested in playing roles, they're interested in being real. And when you combine that authenticity with street intelligence and emotional discipline, you don't need to be saved, fixed, or led. You the person others quietly look to when things fall apart. Number 7, you know how to play dumb. Here's a secret weapon most people overlook. The Sigma pretends not to know. He plays dumb so people underestimate him, and when the moment's right, boom, he strikes with precision. This is not just clever, it's strategic psychology at its finest. In the world of street smarts, knowledge isn't always about showing off, it's about knowing to reveal what you know. That's where the Sigma male thrives. He deliberately keeps his cards close to his chest. By pretending not to know, he gains the upper hand. People let their guard down, revealing more than they should, thinking they're the smartest person in the room. But they're not. The Sigma is silently mapping out everything. This tactic isn't just theory. It's rooted in real psychological principles. The concept of has been studied in behavioral science, showing how acting clueless in the right moment can lower expectations and reduce threats from others. It's a principle seen in everything from business negotiations to political power plays. And here's the kicker. Sigma males don't need applause or validation. While alpha males want to dominate and show strength loudly, Sigmas dominate by being underestimated until it's too late. Think of it like chess. The Sigma male sacrifices a pawn, not because he's weak, but because he sees 5 moves ahead. Street-smart Sigmas let others get comfortable. Then, just when the room thinks they've got him figured out, he rearranges the whole game. He doesn't need to speak the loudest, he just makes the smartest move. So next time someone seems a little too quiet, a little too clueless, be careful. You might just be sitting across from a Sigma male, calculating, silent, and about to flip the script. Number 8, street smarts, equal sign. Action-oriented intelligence. Book smarts can teach you what should work. Street smarts teach you what does work. This line captures the essence of the Sigma mindset. Being book smart means you've studied the theories, read the manuals, and aced the tests. But being street smart, that means you've been in the trenches, you've lived it, felt it, and learned through real-world trial and error. Sigma males thrive on street smarts. They don't just know the rules, they know when to break them, and more importantly, how to rewrite them. While academics might debate what happened in a perfect system, Sigmas are already 5 steps ahead, adapting to what happens in an imperfect world. Take entrepreneurship, for example. Business schools teach models like SWOT analysis and market segmentation, all useful. But Sigma males, they launch, they fail, they pivot, they learn by doing. They understand that success isn't found in a PowerPoint, it's earned in the hustle. Sigmas don't theorize success, they create it. They don't wait for perfect conditions, they act, adjust, and adapt. When others are busy waiting for permission, Sigmas are already executing Plan B because Plan A didn't quite cut it. And that's okay. Every mistake becomes a lesson, every failure a future asset. This isn't just optimism, it's strategy. Psychologists call this a growth mindset, and it's linked to higher resilience, better problem solving, and long-term success. While others are reading the rule book, the Sigma is rewriting it. Because in a world that's constantly changing, the ability to adapt, think independently, and act boldly isn't just an advantage, it's a superpower. And that's the Sigma edge. Less talk, more doing, less theory, more mastery. Number 9, survival has sharpened you. Let's not sugarcoat it. Life threw you into the deep end, but you didn't sink. You grew gills. A street-smart Sigma male is forged, not born. You've been broke when your pockets echoed louder than your thoughts. You've been betrayed by people you would have taken a bullet for. You've been broken by setbacks that would have crushed most men. But the difference, you weren't built to break. You were built to bend, adapt, and come back smarter. You turned pain into power. Those sleepless nights and silent battles rewired your instincts. You stopped chasing comfort and started chasing clarity. You stopped waiting for someone to save you and realized you were the one you'd been waiting for all along. Street smarts aren't learned from textbooks. They're carved into your character through experience. Psychology tells us that emotional resilience, the ability to bounce back from adversity, is one of the greatest indicators of long-term success. And Sigma males master this by necessity, not because they want to be tough, but because life gave them no other option. Your scar tissue? That's not just for show, it's armor. Every loss taught you strategy. Every betrayal sharpened your intuition. Every failure gave you the grit that polished your inner diamond. You've walked through fire and didn't just survive, you studied the flames. While others read theories, you lived the lesson. You learned how to read people without a word being spoken, how to predict outcomes without needing a spreadsheet, how to spot manipulation from a mile away. Sigma males like you don't flaunt resilience, they embody it. You're not street smart because it's trendy. You're street smart because the streets were your classroom and pain was your professor. And now you don't fear the storm, you are the storm. Number 10, the ultimate advantage, unpredictability. People fear what they can't predict, and Sigma, you are the definition of unpredictable. No pattern, no formula. One day you're silent, the next day you're unstoppable. It's not chaos, it's calculated mystery. Studies in social psychology show that unpredictability triggers both curiosity and anxiety in others. Why? Because the human brain craves patterns. When it can't decode your next move, it panics. You don't chase power. Power finds you because your independence, detachment, and self-mastery command respect. That's the Sigma edge. You move in silence, strike with precision, and walk away before they even know what hit them. That's the street smart advantage. Sigmas, here's what you need to remember. It's not about where you were born or what school you went to. It's about how you think, how you move, and how you refuse to be boxed in. Street smarts make you resilient. Sigma mentality makes you unstoppable. And when those two forces combine, that's not just an advantage, that's a revolution. So whether you grew up on concrete chaos or cold silence, never doubt this. Your experience is your superpower. You weren't made for the sidelines. You were built to own the game. Sigmas, if this resonated with you, smash that like button, subscribe, and become a part of this movement. Because the world needs more men who think differently, move silently, and dominate loudly. Stay true and stay Sigma.